Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Friday edition of Today in Sports Betting. TGIF, everybody. I know it's a big day for Scott and I. We do our two call-in shows back-to-back. We do the Friday night games, and then we will do our own show where we pick against the spread and give you our best three plays for the weekend. But first things first, Friday night, buddy, we got three games so far. At least they haven't been canceled yet. This is bad. This is a bad weekend for COVID, my friend. And I think I don't think it's going to get any better. What do you think, Scott?
Well, I thought we were going to save some of that discussion maybe for the next show when we talk about the three picks. But briefly speaking, with all the canceled games, of course, which is not of really any of the faults of the teams that canceled because it's probably the right thing to do in the situations, is this the worst college football card you've seen in a long time?
Yeah. I mean, it's an off day for a lot of Big 12 teams that were scheduled off anyway. We've had a number of cancellations in the SEC. Ohio State got canceled. Yeah, it's a tough one, and we'll talk about how tough it was here on the next one about what it made me do. But
I'm just saying, for the record, there are 6 ranked teams who had games canceled for this weekend.
Yeah, it's kind of brutal, man. So take a look at this card tonight while we still have three games available. Starting off with the Battle of Florida, Scott. FAU, FIU.
Is there anything better than seeing a college football game with a total of 41?
41, buddy. 41.
Okay. I know last week you had Florida Atlantic and Western Kentucky, which was basically a total of 39, and the game finished with a combined, I think, 17 points. 17, yeah. That's, Florida Atlantic's really the greatest show on turf offensively if you watch them play.
Not good. You know,
it's even more shocking because of who their head coach is. You figure Willie Taggart has the job. You figured, they'd try to go up tempo, score a lot of points, but no, they've just been a really, really good defensive team. And Willie Taggart, I don't think has ever had that reputation in his entire career.
Nope. But they finally have a defense. They're really good. That defense is no BS, my friend. And they've, in fact, I'll tell you, Scott. They're 14th against the run, 42nd against the pass, 4th best scoring defense in FBS, and 15th in yards allowed. So
this team doesn't mess around.
No, it's going to be a long night for FIU. The question is whether they can score enough to keep it close, because the FAU offense, for as good as their defense is, and you touched on it briefly, the offense, not good. Not great. Not good at all.
You're saying that averaging 288.5 yards per game is not good in college football?
No, it is not.
That is awful.
On the other hand, FIU, they're dreadful, and they cannot throw the ball at all. They are third worst passing offense in the country, behind only who, Scott? I'm going to guess.
Army and Navy?
Army and Air Force.
I was very close.
They're actually behind Navy. How bad is that?
That's not good, but I know Navy's been trailing a lot this year, so they've been kind of forced to throw it a bit more than they wanted to. But I knew it was going to be option teams. I knew I basically had a decent chance of getting both, and I guessed the wrong option school. So my bad.
No, it's quite all right. I do have my free play of the day is on this game, and spoiler alert, I've got the under, Scott. The 41 didn't scare me. It really didn't, and I'm trying to talk myself into taking Florida Atlantic. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not sure they can cover 9.5 against anybody in the country.
So Florida International this season has been a pretty interesting story. They're 0-3. Their first 2 losses were extremely close. They almost beat Liberty, who is now undefeated, and they lost that game by 2. Then they lost to Middle Tennessee State by 3. Then they lost to an FCS team. They had a week off, then lost to an FCS team. And a lot of people think this Florida International team, as a result, is complete garbage. Now, are they good? No. However, it is worth mentioning that the week prior to the Jacksonville State game, they canceled their matchup against Charlotte because of COVID. So they lost to an FCS team, but they were missing a ton of players because of COVID. So, yes, they lost to an FCS team, but when you're missing about 10 scholarship players when playing against any team in college football, you go from below-average FBS team to arguable FCS team. So the team that lost to Jacksonville State was definitely, putting it mildly, not a full-strength Florida International team. They were using walk-ons. They really were just scraping people together at that point.
Well, and they've had the most game canceled of anybody in the country. They've had 5 games either canceled or rescheduled. And actually, the Jacksonville State game was a rescheduled game. That was supposed to be the first game of the season. So.
It was a rescheduled game, and you still were missing, a decent amount of scholarship players, which forced the Florida International team, even though they were favored in that game, to look lost, because when you're using a lot of people who have no experience to play or have no business being on the field, that's the results you're going to get. So it wasn't like they were at full strength and lost to Jacksonville State. They were really, really limited in that game.
And does that make a difference to you as far as this?
I think it does, because Florida International hasn't played in a couple of weeks. So some of the guys who missed the games because of COVID might be back, which should help them get to somewhat full strength, which I'm not saying that they're good, but when you lose to Liberty by 2 and Middle Tennessee State by 3, when healthy, I don't think this team is
like they're a good team. They're a dreadful team.
They're not good, but what I'm saying is that if you're going to be losing your first 2 games by roughly 3 points or less, I think people are thinking too much about the FCS opponent loss, which I think is a somewhat outlier because of all the really, really bad circumstances that happened to the team.
All right, I'll give you that. They're still terrible.
They're not good, but I don't think that Florida Atlantic should be favored by 9 or so against this Florida International team.
Probably somewhere closer to a touchdown would be.
Yeah, that's what I think. Florida Atlantic kind of at least tried to switch quarterbacks late in the game to provide a bit of a spark, which ended up working out.
He did okay. He didn't complete a pass, but he ran really well.
He didn't just not complete a pass. He threw an interception.
A pick, that's right.
But he did lead them to a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter. So maybe you'll see a bit more of a split there, which, truth is, you got to try something because your offense doesn't work. Would it surprise me if Atlantic comes out and potentially wins this game by double digits? No. But I'm going to lean to International plus the points because I think getting a large portion of their team back definitely makes them more competitive than this 9-point spread indicates.
Well, they better stay close early because if you get down, you got a team that can't pass.
Yeah,
that has the potential to get ugly in a hurry. So I
think this game's going to turn into a rock fest.
Like I said, I like the under here. I would definitely keep an eye on the live number. If you for some reason are a masochist and you insist on playing this game. Keep an eye on the live number and see how the game flow's going. And
I think I might just be rooting for a decent amount of points in the first quarter somehow, and then just live bet the under.
Yeah, that's not terrible either.
Because 41 it's just something I can't fully wrap my head around when it comes to betting. Even though if the game went under 39 by 20 plus points, and 39 is the lowest college total I've seen in a non-FCS game in a long time. But
what's your official play here?
I'm going to hold my nose and take International plus the points, but I'll also take the under.
Okay. Yeah, I don't hate the International play. If I had to play a side, that's probably what I'd do. But
I'm not happy about the International side, but I think 9's too many points.
No, save your money.
Yep, that's fair.
Take your wife out to dinner instead of betting on a side in this game. That's what
I think. Maybe if you want, I'm not encouraging college football teasers because they're pretty volatile, but if you want to tease Atlantic down with an under, you can maybe look into that. Just a thought.
So what are you cutting through? So
like a 7-point teaser, you cut it down to Atlantic -2 and the under 48 or so. I don't think that's that bad.
You got that at 9 somewhere?
I thought it was 9. Is it not 9?
I got 9.5.
Oh. No, it was 9 earlier. So it's mostly 9.5 actually. So yeah, you cut it down to 2.5, still get the field goal. So 2.5, and then you cut it down to 48, 48.5.
48.
What?
2.5 and 48 is what you're looking
48.5 actually.
48.5. I know you got 41.5. I just got.
Yeah, I see 41.5 available in some spots.
What, 40?
Which I don't think is that bad, but for this game, It's really, really not encouraged to either watch this game or bet this game.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so we got a game at the same time. Should be a little more entertaining, Scott. The Iowa Hawkeyes against the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Can you believe that? The Iowa-Minnesota game is the more entertaining game on television at 7 p.m.?
What are they playing for here? Is that the old Oaken Bucket?
Could be. Truth is, there's so many trophies.
It's the pig. It's the Earl of Sandwich, or it's the something of something, and the something of Rosedale, the Gavin of Rosedale. No, that's not right. It's the something of Rosedale.
It is. Let me see this. It is a pig.
It is a pig. I know.
It's Floyd of Rosedale.
Floyd of Rosedale. That's right. It's Floyd, and Floyd is a pig. Rosedale is actually the farm where the pig grew up. We had this in a trivia question the other night. That's how I know it. So
okay, nice.
Yeah, because my life is full. Scott, this is a Minnesota team that is they're a great over team. They score a ton of points and they give up a ton of points. I'm not going to overthink this one. I'm taking the Golden Gophers over 48. They got two of the top skill position players in the country, in my opinion.
Wait, you mean 58?
What did I say, 48?
Yeah.
I'm so locked into the other game. Yeah, 58. I wish it was 48. I would load up a little more. They got Ibrahim and they got Bateman at wide receiver, averaging 36 points a game, putting up 40 the last two games. They have been dreadful on defense, giving up a ton of points to Maryland and Michigan. I think this game is going to be points from beginning to end. I like the over 58.
I have to agree. I feel like the one area I'm concerned about with Minnesota is that for the sake of the overs, they have played so far this season a couple of teams that play no defense at all. Illinois defensively not very good. Their offense is also terrible. So I'm not going to read into Minnesota's great defensive performance last week against basically either the worst offense in the conference or the second worst offense in the conference. So I'm not going to read that much into it. Against Michigan, they were awful. They were useless in that game for the most part. And then you have the game against Maryland. Maryland might be sneakily good, but if you watch that game, I had a live bet in that game on Maryland, but I lost a play of the day on it. That defense was so beyond awful. It seems like they're content with rushing three guys, and their secondary can't cover anybody. So I don't know what exactly the game plan is there, but they don't really blitz. They rush three guys in stock coverage, and they get torched repeatedly. And I know Iowa likes to run the ball, and they should be able to against this three-man front. Plus, Iowa actually has a quarterback who can throw the ball a little bit. He's not very accurate, but he can throw the ball deep, and, they can stretch the field. Minnesota's offense has, of course, the star running back who is phenomenal. Morgan has been pretty underwhelming this season. Bateman hasn't really done much. But Minnesota has a lot of weapons, and I think they should put up points. Iowa looked really good last week against Michigan State. Michigan State is awful on offense. So
that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, so I'm going to lean to the over. I think both teams have a decent chance to reach 30 here. I think that this it makes sense. Money's coming on the over. I don't think enough money's coming on the over, so I'll go with the over.
I think there's a really good chance one of them hits 40.
It is possible, but I think that both teams – I think this game will be close throughout. So I do think both teams have a very good chance to get to 30.
All right, very good. And the last play on the board, Scott, is going to be the East Carolina Pirates in Ohio taking on the Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati, we talked a little bit about it before the show. They won they won by 28 last week?
They won by 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, and they dropped a spot in the rankings.
They dropped in the rankings despite winning by 28 points.
So my guess is they're going to be a little salty here, Scotty. I like this Cincinnati team. I think they're coming into their own. I don't know if they're peaking at the right time or if they're peaking too early, but they're peaking right now. This is a hell of a team. It's a fantastic defense. The offense is underrated. I think they come out of the box with their hair on fire. Give me the Bearcats. It's a 27-point spread, by the way. 55 is the number. I'm going to lay 17 in the first half because I think the Bearcats strike early and often against a pretty underwhelming East Carolina team at the end of the day.
Especially defensively for East Carolina. Their defense has been terrible all season long. I know that people can talk about a lot of underrated coaches in the league. A lot of people talk about Matt Campbell, for example, from Iowa State. You have a lot of sleeper coaches. How good of a coach is Luke Fickell?
Oh, yeah.
He is really, really good, and he doesn't get enough credit. I know that Cincinnati plays in a conference that is, I don't know how to describe it, overrated, I guess. Because UCF, after 1 year where they claimed they were champions, has kind of fallen on their face repeatedly since then. And Memphis has always been underwhelming. SMU's inconsistent, stuff like that. But Cincinnati has been a staple of the top 15 for the last couple of years. And Luke Fickell, at some point, you got to assume is going to get a bigger job.
I would assume next year.
Because he is very, very good.
I don't know where he is. Contract-wise, what year he's in, or if they've locked him up for an extension. But I would assume if he's got any kind of contract he can get out of at his time at Cincinnati is certainly probably a number that his days are numbered there. They had a lot of coaching turnover in the SEC last year, so it may take another year. I think a lot of people are going to give their head coaches a pass this season. Because of COVID, because of the inconsistent nature of the schedule and things like that. So there may not be as much coaching turnover as normal, but I think that Fickell is certainly going to get a Power 5 job by the 2022 season. How about
he should, because I know a lot of people talk about hot commodities on the market. He's got to be on the short list because he is something.
Coaches, the great offense, great defense. This is a complete team, Scott. It really is. And I think it's a team, depending on who they match up with, I think if they got into the playoffs, I think they could do some damage. Yeah,
now for the sake of this game, the spread is very high. I do agree that I think Cincinnati should be pissed off. I don't know what more you want. You beat a conference opponent by 28 and you drop in the rankings. Mm-hmm. So the voters basically said, we don't want to see you in the playoffs. So I feel like you can use that as momentum. Or not as motivation, where you just tell the entire team, listen, they don't want us to be here. We'll force them to make a decision here. So we're going to win by this game by 50. For me, I'm going to lean to the over at 55. I know money's coming on the under because they assume East Carolina won't be able to actually move the ball against Cincinnati. However, I think Cincinnati, if they score 40 in this game, would it surprise you? Of course not, because their team total is roughly 41. And if you look at recent matchups so far between these two teams, last season, East Carolina somehow scored 43 points against Cincinnati. Year before that, Cincinnati won 56-6. So I think Cincinnati can score 50 potentially. I think East Carolina can score 20-something. East Carolina plays with a lot of pace, and there should be a lot of garbage time here. So it wouldn't surprise me if East Carolina scores maybe 2 touchdowns in the second half, something like that in the fourth quarter. But I think 55 is too low because Cincinnati, if you have a team total of 40-something, I can't take an under 55.
That's threading the needle pretty good there, buddy.
It's very, very close. So I think East Carolina will get blown out in the first half. And I think that besides giving up 40-something points, they might find some success late in the second half. They could lose this game 42-14 and I still win. So I'll take the over. I'll take the over 55.
Yeah, when you've got a team total of 41.5 and 55 is your number. You have cojones gigantes there, my friend. If you're gonna play that in the under, that is just not something that I have any desire to do at all. I think
I have to lean over based on that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. This is an East Carolina team that can throw the ball.
Baylor's is not an awful quarterback. Most teams that are really, really below average don't have a quarterback.
You're right.
He turns it over a lot. Yep. He's got talent. He's not awful.
He's the Jameis Winston of quarterbacks at that level. For
a good comparison, either him or bad Ryan Fitzpatrick, but either one.
Yeah. All right. So you and I are in agreement there. Cincinnati rolls. I like the first half. I'm with you on the over as well. I think it's a good solid play. So there you go, bud. I wish one of these games would have been later. They all kind of start within half an hour of each other, so that's not very good.
Well, you're used to having some type of game in the West Coast happening where you have some Mountain West game being thrown in on Friday night, like San Jose State.
Action there from the Mountain West or something wouldn't suck.
Nothing like San Diego State and San Jose State starting at like 10:30 at night or 10 o'clock at night. That's something else.
Well, I do like that because people don't watch San Diego State plays and still leaves a lot of value on that team. So we'll talk about that next. We might even talk about that in the next segment. So, but for this one, that's our take on these three games for Friday night. So if you want to find out even more of these games, you know where to go. It's over there at winnersandwhiners.com. Deep dives into every game. Man, you want to get under the hood. You want to check out this East Carolina team. Say, I don't know nothing about no Pirates. Go there to Winners and Whiners because we do. And they're going to let you know about where your money should be on this one. But if you want just the thumbnail version, yeah, you're in the right place. It's me and Scott doing it every day here on Today in Sports Betting. So we appreciate you guys stopping by. Have a great day. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday the 13th. Hope nobody has triskaidekaphobia. I hope everybody has a great day today, and hope it's a very lucky day. Hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money back at the window. And for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at Winners and Whiners, appreciate you watching. And we'll see you tomorrow on Today in Sports Betting. Take care, everybody.